Tensions are flaring up once again in the South China Sea. Hundreds of fishing vessels have been spotted at a disputed reef. The Philippines says these are Chinese vessels manned by militias. Manila has shot off a warning. It has termed the presence of Chinese vessels as an incursion. The Philippines has demanded withdrawal from China. So has Beijing opened up yet another front in the tense South China Sea? Is Beijing militarizing a disputed region? The South China Sea is one of the most hotly contested regions in the world. China stakes claim to 90% of the South China Sea. Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia and Brunei all have competing, sometimes overlapping claims. Any flare-up could lead to a serious military conflict. On Gravitas tonight, we will tell you about the trouble that's brewing in the South China Sea. Here's what's happening. The Philippines has spotted more than 200 Chinese vessels at a reef that it calls its own. They say the boats do not appear to be fishing and that they are manned by China's maritime militia. The Philippines says these vessels are violating its maritime rights. Here is where this is happening, the Whitsun Reef. It looks like a boomerang. The Philippines calls it the Julian Philippe. Manila says this reef lies within the country's exclusive economic zone. Manila has released some photographs of those ships. They are positioned side by side. The Philippines is concerned about the sheer number of these ships. They say these ships could engage in possible overfishing, destruction of the marine environment, as well as pose risks to safety of navigation. But a national task force in the Philippines says the Chinese vessels are not really fishing and the ships keep their lights on during night time. The Defense Secretary of the Philippines has shot off a statement. It says the presence of Chinese ships is a matter of grave concern. He called it a clear, provocative action of militarizing the area. What is Beijing's response? China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said today that the presence of these ships is very normal.
What I want to tell you is that Whitsun Reef is a part of the Spratly Islands, and China's fishing vessels have been fishing in the water of Whitsun Reef for a very long time. Recently, because of the maritime situation, China's fishing vessels have been staying near the reef to shelter themselves from strong winds. This is very normal, and we hope all parties can view this reasonably.
But for the Philippines, all this is far from normal. Back in 2016, the Philippines had won a case against China's territorial claims. 5 years ago, an international court had dismissed Beijing's claims to virtually all of the South China Sea, but China refused to recognize this decision. It continues to push its claims on the South China Sea. It is believed that Beijing uses fishing fleets across the region to assert its claims. This report is from 2019. It says a significant number of fishing vessels in the area forego fishing full-time to serve as the direct arm of the state through maritime militia. The bigger challenge is how China is transforming some of the islands. Reportedly, China has turned several reefs in the Spratly Islands chain into man-made islands where missiles, runways and weapons systems have been deployed. The Spratly Islands are a group of more than 100 small islands or reefs. They are surrounded by rich fishing grounds. China claims the entire Spratly Islands, while the rest of the parties have competing claims. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.